They told you being a landlord was a smart move. Steady income, long-term wealth, passive money every month. And on paper, it looks perfect. So why do so many landlords feel stressed, exhausted, and quietly disappointed? Because the biggest demerit isn't obvious at the beginning. It hides behind the word passive. Here's the truth most people realize too late. Rental income is not passive. It's delayed responsibility. The rent feels simple. One payment, one property, one decision that should run itself. But ownership doesn't stop when the tenant moves in. That's when the real work starts. Calls don't come when you're free. Problems don't appear when it's convenient. Repairs don't wait for your schedule. And psychologically, that changes everything. Because passive income should reduce mental effort. Landlording increases it. You begin living in a constant low-level state of alert. Even when nothing is wrong, you're thinking, what if something breaks? What if they stop paying? What if a big expense hits? That background tension never fully turns off. And that's the first hidden demerit. Your attention becomes tied to something you thought would free it. Now, let's look at the mental shift that happens quietly. At first, landlords feel proud. I'm building wealth. I own an asset. This is smart. But over time, the excitement fades and management takes over. You stop feeling like an investor. You start feeling like a caretaker. Checking messages, tracking payments, planning repairs. None of this looks exhausting individually. Together, it becomes a constant drain. This is the psychological mismatch most landlords don't expect. They signed up for income. They got responsibility. And responsibility feels heavier when it never pauses. Now, here's where many people get stuck. Because the rent still comes in, the brain says it's worth it. Money validates discomfort. So instead of questioning the structure, landlords normalize the stress. They tell themselves, this is just part of it. Real estate takes work. I'll get used to it. And they do. Humans adapt to pressure surprisingly fast. But adaptation is not freedom. It's tolerance. The difference matters. Freedom feels light. Tolerance feels heavy but manageable. Many landlords live in tolerance without realizing it. Now think about this carefully. If income requires constant awareness, constant readiness, constant mental space, is it truly passive? Or is it a second job disguised as investment? This question creates discomfort because it challenges the original promise. And once that promise cracks, everything looks different. You begin noticing how often your attention gets pulled away. You're at dinner, phone buzzes, weekend issue appears, vacation, message arrives. Even small interruptions teach your brain one thing. You're never fully off. That's the hidden tax that nobody adds to the numbers. Time can be measured. Attention cannot. Yet attention is the thing you actually spend. Now, here's the part most new landlords don't see coming. The more properties you add, the heavier the mental load becomes. People think scale creates ease. Sometimes it creates noise, more tenants, more variables, more unexpected moments. And suddenly the thing that was supposed to create freedom starts shaping your lifestyle instead. You plan around properties, not the other way around. This is where the first serious doubt appears. Not financial doubt, emotional doubt. Why does this feel heavier than I expected? That question marks the beginning of clarity. Because once you notice the weight, you can't unfeel it. And this is only the first demerit. In the next phase, we'll go deeper into the part that hits hardest financially. The expenses landlords don't plan for, and why they quietly erase more profit than most people realize. The second demerit doesn't appear on day one. That's why it surprises people. The numbers look clean at the beginning. Rent coming in, mortgage covered, maybe even extra cash left over. Everything feels under control. Then reality starts arriving. Slowly. One repair, one replacement, one unexpected bill. And suddenly the profit doesn't feel so strong. This is the financial demerit most landlords underestimate. Expenses don't show up monthly. They show up unpredictably. And unpredictable costs destroy confidence. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They calculate income in straight lines and expenses as if they'll be small. But property doesn't work that way. Roofs age, appliances fail, plumbing breaks, insurance increases, property taxes rise. None of these ask permission, they just arrive. Now think about the psychology behind this. A steady paycheck feels safe because it's predictable. Rental income looks steady until expenses turn it into spikes. Your brain cannot relax with spikes because you're always waiting for the next hit, and that waiting creates quiet financial tension. Now, here's the part nobody talks about honestly. Most landlords don't lose money dramatically. They lose it slowly. Small fixes here, maintenance there, unexpected upgrades. Each one feels manageable. But together they chip away at profit until the reward feels smaller than the responsibility. This is where disappointment starts. Because the original expectation was rent will pay for everything, reality says. Rent pays for surprises you didn't plan for. Now add inflation. Materials cost more. Labor costs more. Insurance recalculates risk. But rent doesn't always rise at the same speed. That gap, even small, adds pressure. And pressure changes behavior. Landlords start hesitating on repairs. They delay upgrades. They look for cheaper fixes. Not because they're careless, because margins shrink. And shrinking margins make every decision feel heavier. Now here's the deeper issue. Unexpected expenses don't just hurt cash flow. They destroy the illusion of control. You feel responsible, but not in charge. That combination creates frustration. You're paying, but you didn't choose the timing. You're fixing, but you didn't cause the problem. Ownership becomes reactive. And reactive ownership is exhausting. Now notice how this impacts mindset. Instead of thinking like an investor, you start thinking like a problem solver. Feel the difference. Investors plan growth. Problem solvers handle emergencies. When emergencies become normal, growth stops being the focus. You're not expanding. You're stabilizing. That's a huge shift, and many landlords don't realize it's happening. Now, here's the brutal financial truth. A property can look profitable on paper while feeling stressful in real life. Because spreadsheets don't include anxiety. They don't include surprise costs at the worst time. They don't include sleepless nights before a big repair, but your nervous system does. And over time, that emotional cost becomes heavier than the money itself. This is where landlords start asking a dangerous question. Is this really worth it? Not because they're losing, but because the reward feels smaller than expected. And once that thought enters your mind, every new expense feels louder. In the next phase, we'll talk about the demerit that hits even harder than money. The one that slowly steals peace and freedom, even when the numbers still look fine. Ever dreamed of becoming a landlord? Kicking back, collecting rent, and watching your real estate empire grow? It sounds like the perfect passive income stream, right? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on a side of landlording that nobody really talks about, the hidden psychological costs. This isn't about finances or property damage. This is about the mental and emotional toll it can take. First up is what I call the constant worry. As a landlord, your property is never truly off your mind. Is the tenant paying on time? Did that storm damage the roof? Is the boiler about to break down in the middle of winter? It's a low-level, persistent anxiety that hums in the background of your life. You become the first line of defense for everything, and that responsibility can be incredibly heavy, turning what should be a passive investment into a very active source of stress. Next, let's talk about the emotional labor. You're not just managing a property, you're managing people and their lives. This can get complicated. You might have a tenant who loses their job and can't make rent. On a human level, you feel for them. But on a business level, you have a mortgage to pay. This creates a difficult internal conflict. You're forced to make decisions that can feel cold or heartless, even when they're financially necessary. This constant navigation between empathy and business can be emotionally draining and lead to compassion fatigue. You start building walls to protect yourself, which can impact how you interact with people in other areas of your life. Then there's the loneliness of the role. When things go wrong, who do you talk to? Your tenants see you as the person with all the power, so they're not going to be sympathetic. Your friends and family might not understand, often saying things like, well, you're the one making money from it. You can end up feeling isolated, dealing with difficult situations like evictions or major repairs completely on your own. It has a unique kind of pressure that is hard to share and even harder for others to comprehend. Another hidden cost is the erosion of trust. After dealing with a few difficult tenants, the ones who damage property, break lease agreements, or consistently pay late, it's easy to become cynical. You might start viewing every new applicant with suspicion, looking for red flags instead of seeing a potential home for someone. This mindset can bleed into your personal life, making you less trusting of people in general. It changes how you see the world, often for the worse, and that's a heavy price to pay for an investment. Finally, there's the loss of personal time and freedom. That dream of passive income quickly evaporates when you're re-spending your weekends fixing leaky faucets or your evenings screening tenant applications. Emergencies don't happen on a 9 to 5 schedule. A call about a burst pipe at 2 a.m. means your sleep is gone. A tenant locked out on a holiday means your plans are on hold. Your time is no longer your own. It belongs to the property and the people in it. This can lead to burnout and resentment, making you question if it was all worth it. So, while being a landlord can be a great financial move for some, it's crucial to understand the full picture. It's not just about money. It's about your mental peace, your emotional energy, and your time. If you're considering this path, be prepared for these hidden challenges. And if you're a landlord feeling this way, know you're not alone. It's important to set boundaries, practice self-care, and remember that your mental health is your most valuable asset. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more honest conversations about investing in life. See you in the next one. The fourth demerit doesn't arrive as a crisis. It arrives as clarity. Nothing dramatic happens. The property is still running. Rent still comes in. On paper, everything looks fine. But internally, something shifts. You start thinking, do I really want to keep doing this? This is the phase most landlords never talk about because it doesn't look like failure. It looks like quiet exhaustion. After enough time dealing with uncertainty, expenses, and constant responsibility, the excitement disappears. What's left is maintenance, and maintenance is not inspiring. Now, here's the deeper psychological truth. Humans can handle stress when it feels temporary, but when stress becomes permanent, the brain starts looking for escape. Not dramatic escape, simplification. Landlords begin craving simplicity. Less noise, less responsibility, less mental weight. This is when the idea of selling starts appearing. Not as panic, as relief. That distinction matters. Because when someone leaves from fear, it's reactive. When someone leaves from relief, it's clarity. Now, look at what's happening quietly across the market. Small landlords are stepping back, not loudly, not with announcements. They just choose peace over constant management. The reason is simple. The reward no longer feels worth the energy required, and this isn't about losing money. Many exits happen while things are still profitable. That surprises people. But profitability and satisfaction are different things. You can earn and still feel drained. Now, here's what most landlords realize late. The hardest part, INT, buying a rental. It's carrying the mental responsibility year after year. The longer you hold it, the more your life adjusts around it. You become careful, protective, risk-averse, not because you want to, because you have something to lose. And eventually that mindset spreads beyond the property. You make safer choices everywhere. Career, lifestyle, time. The property quietly shapes your personality. This is the cost nobody calculates. Now let's talk about pride. Ownership feels like success. So, admitting that you're tired feels wrong. Many landlords stay longer than they want to because leaving feels like giving up. But internally, they already checked out. They're just waiting for the right moment. This creates a strange state. You still own the asset, but emotionally, you're done. And that's when small problems feel bigger. Because motivation is gone, now here's the honest reality. Landlording isn't becoming impossible. It's becoming selective. People who love operations stay. People who wanted freedom start questioning. That difference separates long-term holders from quiet sellers. And the quiet sellers rarely regret leaving because they realize something. Peace has value too. In the final phase, everything comes together, not with advice, not with a push to sell. Just one question that forces total honesty. The question every landlord eventually has to answer.